Hello, you beautiful people. Today we're back with some waiver wire pickups and drops that you're going to need to make to get ready for fantasy playoffs. So this is the week before fantasy playoffs start for most of you, and whether you're struggling to make the playoffs, trying to move up a seed, or just want another W on your record, these are some crucial waiver wire adds and drops you're going to want to make. So as always, if you enjoy the content, feel free to drop a like on the video and subscribe so you get notifications for all the future videos. And with that being said, let's go ahead and start with the pickups for this week. So as always on the channel, we're going to go ahead and start with the player in the thumbnail, and this week we have the guy that was named after a song, and it's going to be Mo Bamba. And Mo Bamba has always kind of been stuck on Orlando's bench behind Vucevic. He wasn't really getting a lot of minutes, he was even playing backup to Khem Birch as well, so he was like their third string center, but now that Vucevic is out of the picture, Khem Birch has been traded away, Steve Clifford's kind of forced to play Mo Bamba, and he's kind of splitting minutes with Wendell Carter right now. He's getting around 20 minutes a game, and if Mo Bamba's playing 20 minutes a game, he's just such a good contributor per minute. Like per 36 minutes, his numbers are crazy. And if he's going to get 20, 22 minutes a game, I really like his production in deeper leagues. So yeah, if you're in like a 10 team, 12 team, 14 team, I think Mo Bamba's a definite waiver wire ad for this week. He's really going to help you make the playoffs, or like I said, if you just need to make playoffs or get a seeding in playoffs or what have you, Mo Bamba's a player that I'd really want to stream this week. Like I said, it remains to be seen if these minutes are going to continue, but if they do, I think you're going to get some really good production out of Mo Bamba. And up next, we have the Hornets duo. It's going to be Jalen McDaniels and Miles Bridges. And if you didn't know about Jalen McDaniels, he's the brother of Jaden McDaniels on the Timberwolves, and both have become somewhat relevant for fantasy perspective, honestly. Obviously, I would pick up Miles Bridges before Jalen McDaniels, but I just figured I'd put Jalen first as he's only rostered in about 12% of leagues, whereas Miles Bridges is rostered in like 67% of leagues. So, yeah, they're both. I mean, obviously, the Hornets have just been really hurt with injuries right now. Melo's out, Monk's out, Hayward's out. So that kind of opened up the door for Miles Bridges. He's been getting a lot of minutes, like 35 plus a night. So if Miles Bridges is for some reason still on your waiver wire, I definitely recommend picking him up. And then, like I said, if you're in a deeper league, Jalen McDaniels has been having some really good games as of late due to the increase in minutes as well. So definitely something to watch out for. In category leagues, he's not too great outside of scoring and rebounding. That kind of applies to the both of them. But if you're in a points league, I think Jalen McDaniels, really good streaming option for this week. And then I mentioned him last week, but just because he's kept up his production, next player on our list is going to be Kelly Olynyk. And I'm surprised by the production he's putting up on the Rockets. I did not expect this. I won't go too deep into this because I just talked about him last week. But if you're trying to make the playoffs and he's on your waiver wire, I would definitely go ahead and pick up Kelly Olynyk for this week. He's really going to help your team out, and he's just a really solid overall player. And then moving on to someone that's returning from injury, and it's going to be Darius Bazley. And this is again for a deeper league. This is a bit more of a risky pickup, I would say, because Bazley hasn't been too consistent this season with staying on the court or just putting up consistent numbers. And if you're just picking up someone for a streaming option, it's not the biggest deal if they get hurt, but if you pick up Bazley, you might miss out on someone else on this list. So definitely a riskier one, but the Thunder don't have a lot of options right now. Bazley's getting a ton of looks. He's getting a lot of minutes. So definitely something that I could see continuing at least for this week. Definitely a really solid pickup, and I would look into picking up Darius Bazley. And then we'll finish off with two deeper league ads. It's going to be Isaiah Hartenstein and Daniel Gafford. Hartenstein is now on the Cavaliers, and he's been putting up some really good numbers as of late. He's playing power forward for them now, and I mean, he was a decent player for the Nuggets, but he was stuck to that bench role. And now that he's getting starter level minutes, he's really upped his production. And yeah, he's an underrated rebounder and shot blocker. I mean, he's decent in points, but it's just off of like rolls to the rim. But yeah, underrated rebounder. He's got good vision as well. Like, he's getting quite a few assists. So if you're in a category league, I think Isaiah Hartenstein is an absolute sleeper of a waiver wire pickup for this week. He sort of contributes in like every single category at a decent rate. So yeah, definitely look into picking up him. And then lastly is Daniel Gafford. And this is, again, like if everyone else on this list is taken, I would go for Daniel Gafford. The only reason he's not higher on the list is because Scott Brooks doesn't really know how to organize his center rotation, so Gafford might not get to thrive as much in Washington, but they should be playing him like 27 minutes a game, but I doubt they're going to just because, like I said, Scott Brooks doesn't really know what he's doing. But yeah, if you wanted to take a flyer on him for this week, I think it could definitely pay off, especially if he starts getting like around 25 minutes a game. So that's definitely something to watch for. But yeah, that's going to go ahead and do it for the pickups for this week. Like I said, that's going to really help you guys out if you're struggling to make playoffs, you want to move up in your playoff seeding. And now we'll just go ahead and get on to the players that I think you should drop for this week. So if you made it this far into the video, then I'm going to go ahead and assume you're not a fantasy casual, and if that's the case, I definitely recommend subscribing to the channel and join the Discord through the link in the description. It's a really good place if you have any fantasy questions, whether it be waiver wire pickups, trade suggestions, you want people to help you fix your fantasy team, you want to give people other advice on their fantasy teams. It's just a really good community in there, so I'd highly recommend that. We'd love to have you, and with that being said, we'll just go ahead and start the drops. So as someone that I mentioned a while ago as being a pickup, I did kind of foresee this. I said it in the video. Moses Brown's time was limited because I think a signing that a lot of people were overlooking was that the Thunder also signed Tony Bradley, another promising big man. And so far he's really cut into Moses Brown's minutes. And if Moses Brown isn't getting the 30 minutes a game that he was, his value just kind of plummets. And I'd consider him a droppable player because it looks like him and Bradley are going to be splitting minutes from here on out. And then, yeah, moving on to someone that just suffered a severe injury, so prayers up to him. But it looks like he's going to be a drop for the rest of the season. It's going to be James Wiseman. He's just coming off, it looks like he just tore his MCL or his meniscus, I believe. So either way, he's out for the season. He's done. And he's still rostered in 40% of leagues. So if you have James Wiseman on your team, just drop him in. Like, he's done for the season. And you can just pick up one of the guys we mentioned in the pickups. And then next up is someone that I didn't realize he was rostered in so many leagues, but he's rostered in 60% of leagues, which is just way too high for Tim Hardaway Jr.'s production. He's so inconsistent. Like I said, I say this a lot, but if someone's only contributing factor is that they're a three-point shooting scorer, and if they're not hitting their shots, then they're just not going to be a good fantasy player. I just don't really like relying on those kind of guys to give you good production, because if it's an off night, then they're not really going to be contributing anything at all. Whereas if you get more well-rounded guys, if they're having an off night in the scoring department, they can still contribute in peripheral stats. But yeah, that's the thing. I don't understand why he's rostered in so many leagues. I would go ahead and drop Tim Hardaway Jr. if he's on your team. And then if we move on to the next player, it's Steven Adams, aka Aquaman. He's a good source of rebounds if you're in a category leagues, but in terms of point leagues, I would consider him droppable. He doesn't really contribute that many fantasy points per game anymore. He's not really scoring the ball that much. He's pretty much just rebounding, which really doesn't help in points leagues. So yeah, I consider him a droppable player at this point in the season as well, especially if it's with playoffs coming up and you really need to make a push to make it there. And then the last player on the list is going to be Blake Griffin, who again is rostered in way too many leagues. I think it's just the name value attached to Blake Griffin. He is not the same player. He's not getting the same opportunities. The Nets have a lot of talent, and Blake Griffin is just not going to be contributing to your fantasy team. So yeah, if Blake Griffin's on your team, I'd go ahead and drop him as well. Really not worth a roster spot in my opinion. I'd rather have some of the guys I mentioned in the pickup section. But yeah, that's going to conclude the video. Thank you guys very much for watching. I hope this helps you guys out in the last week before playoffs. I'll be coming out with a lot more videos about fantasy playoffs and waiver wire pickups and drops for then. But yeah, in terms of this week, these are the guys that I recommend picking up and who I'd recommend dropping. Thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you enjoy, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.